Initiate transmission now.
MCDN TV. It all starts with PinoyRadio.com, trailed by Crosswave Radio. Now comes a new kind of entertainment that connects us all. From our motherland, the Philippines, to the land you chose to migrate, the world we knew then and the world we know now. Streaming live 24/7 anywhere on Earth. Para sa ito, kabayan, this is MCDN TV, connecting our world.
So, I don't know where to start from this episode today. Normally, I was mentioning to Sandra, normally when I drive before coming to the studio, I would rehearse what will be my introduction. So just preparation. This is probably the first time I didn't, and I'll tell you why. And this is the first time I have like notes, because I don't, this is the get real. We don't have scripts, we don't have notes. This is the probably the most important episode, and it's not just about the organization that we're going to be speaking about. It's about what the radical, I would say radical issue, because we need radical action when you hear this. And the most important thing that I want you to do is to share this episode now. Stop whatever you're doing, and even my two crew here, just share. When you talk about human trafficking, you think about like male, female, women, and then you go to child trafficking. And then you go to sex trafficking. And then you go to cyber sex trafficking. It goes deeper and deeper, it becomes like who? And for me, I would say, like, I'm not going to be emotional, but this is very emotional, because that's the truth. You can't get real with any more about this. Cyber sex trafficking involves more children than anyone else. We're talking about stories that you're going to see later about children who's actually been abused sexually, and to think about, it's the parents who are actually involved. And we're going to have more discussion about this. And my goal is not about to save the whole world. That'll be great if we can. We just need to start being educated about this. We need to start to be aware. The awareness, it start having that embedded consciousness that we are now responsible in our own family, in our own community, and to share them with the knowledge that we will be getting from here today. So, I'll be joined by Sandra, the Director of Development and Mobilization, and I hope I got that right, in Greater Toronto area, regarding International Justice Mission of Canada. So you're going to see 3 videos, which is actually very important. We're going to go to see the video right now about the actual organization and really look at every event into those, and please share this episode right now, and we'll be back.
This is the target establishment. First suspect, view for our victims.
And remember, if there's a hazard or dangerous situation, move yourself to a position of cover.
We've handed him over to the police.
We saw about 1,200 little kids and found out that they were in fact trafficked and they were in fact slaves. These little kids are on this boat. They are not fed. They are abused beyond imagination.
We got Joshua.
This is the girl. Whenever something like this comes, I imagine in my mind that girl is found.
We have operations all over the world, rescuing people from slavery. Because today there are criminals who abuse children, sell girls,
How old is she? 12. 12? How much? 30. Yeah, I'm afraid.
and force families into slavery. Criminals prey on the easiest target, the world's poor, because they expect no one to defend them.
Pareho po tayong mga tao. Hindi po tayo ibagay or hayop na pwedeng gamitin lang sa pansarili.
But today, there are thousands of people gathering to seek justice for those in slavery. We are a group of lawyers, counselors, activists, and supporters. We are called International Justice Mission. And together, we form the largest international anti-slavery organization in the world. But slavery won't come to an end until criminals know they can't get away with it. So we partner with local police to arrest and prosecute criminals. This sends a message to slave owners. We will not go away. We stay with the survivors until they are healed, until they are free.
Natulungan po ako ng IJM sa pamamagitan po na sa case ko, sa pagtulong po nila na ma-overcome ko po yung fear.
Each year, we rescue thousands of slaves and protect millions around the world. We are transforming how justice systems protect their citizens. To those who are still enslaved, we promise to find you. We will get you home to your families so you can have the freedom you deserve.
Initiate transmission now.
MCDN TV. It all starts with BinoyRadio.com, trailed by Crosswave Radio. Now comes a new kind of entertainment that connects us all. From our motherland, the Philippines, to the land you chose to migrate, the world we knew then and the world we know now. Streaming live 24/7 anywhere on earth. Para sa ito, kabayan, this is MCDN TV, connecting our world.
Okay, I hope you saw that video. And when I first time I saw it, it's like different elements of what the work of International Justice Mission of Canada is all about, or it's international as well, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it's a little bit of pieces. It started with slavery. It started that the action of like, let's end this. There needs to be a protection also, and a lot of like work by International Justice Mission also is to end that slavery, like stop it. Like it's a big word when you say stop. It's like you want to change the world, and that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, we
Sandra,
want to change the world.
tell me. No, here's the thing that's very interesting. How did you get involved with this work first?
Oh my goodness. So I kind of was aware of human trafficking just because I read about it here and there. But it actually happened about 2 years ago now. I was volunteering for a small nonprofit in Trinidad and Tobago. And, they took me to the various places of people they help. So they help people that are in the streets and provide medical care. And they also had an orphanage. So I went to that orphanage and I asked them about the children, and they said most of them get adopted. And then I asked, what about the children that don't get adopted?
How old are you then? Like when you're say volunteering at that time, how old like you were able to go? Like how old were you then?
Oh yeah, it was just 2 years ago, so not that
so
old.
okay. No, I thought like because people are starting like the millennials right
No.
now. Like we're talking about millennials, like they have it's almost like the social agenda that they're more focused also. So I hear that a lot often, right? So
No, this well, it comes natural.
I didn't mean
to
like
me,
to say
so-
your age, like that's not at all. But yeah,
No,
like
I know.
I just want to point it out, like it's almost like really in your blood in
Yeah.
terms of like protection, the mission of like
Yeah.
changing the world. What I would say, yeah.
I mean, you were born with it. I always saw my parents helping the poorest of the poor, even with the little that they had. You always have enough to give, right? I grew up with that. I saw my parents. We had a lot of gypsies in our community where I came from. And I would see my parents they couldn't give money, but they would invite the little kids to come home and do some scrambled eggs and whatever my parents had. So I grew up seeing that. And then in Trinidad and Tobago, when I was there, I mean, I was not prepared for any of what I was about to find out. But then that orphanage, and it's a lot of children, and there was lunchtime. And then I had an opportunity to speak with some of the people working there, and when they told me, well, most of the children get adopted, and then I asked, what about the children don't get adopted? What happens to them? And they said, well, the boys, there's a house that they have that it's funded by generous donors, very much like International Justice Mission is. In which the boys there learn a trade, and he helps them keep them out of trouble. And when they're old enough, they get married and they have a trade, they can get a job, and that lifts them out of poverty. The girls, they haven't been able to get enough funding and to have a similar place for the girls, so they try to find homes. And then they hope soon after the girls will eventually get married and have a good life. And then I asked him, so do you keep track of the little girls? And they say, we try to, but most of them go missing. And I asked them, so this is when I say I wasn't prepared for any of this. What do you mean most of them go missing? And they told me human trafficking, and they just go disappearing, and we never see them again.
So human trafficking means whether they kidnap.
Yeah,
or
they're trafficked,
they
they're taken, they're never seen again. They just disappear. And
Whichever kind of like probably someone from they know and sell them, or
I did not get a census from someone that they know is, they're
unknown.
poor, they're orphans, so it makes them very vulnerable. And usually criminals, predators, pedophiles look for that kind of vulnerable situations.
We're talking about this, and this is real.
Yeah, this is
it exists.
Yeah.
Like and from that awakening, I would say, and led you to the work of IJM.
Yes, because I asked them, if this is happening here, what is the police and the government doing about it?
You start questioning.
I start questioning.
Like, the people responsible. We have a structure.
Yeah.
Like, I think, especially in Canada, I would say, like, U.S. or, like, the first world country are privileged.
Yeah.
Because we have the resources. We have the structure of the government. And we were just talking about that, I think, yesterday, that, there are, like, 4 types that it needs to be in place. Like, you have to have that structure.
Yeah.
And even you have that structure, it still exists.
Yeah.
So the work still needs to continue. And what are we talking about? Like, few things. Like I mentioned it earlier, there's slavery, there's human trafficking, there's sex trafficking, and the worst is cyber sex trafficking, which is the victim themselves putting a show because they're paid or being or be physically abused if they don't, because they don't know anything better.
Yeah, and we call that modern day slavery. That's why when we describe IGM, we describe IGM as the largest anti-slavery organization in the world.
And slavery is not just workforce.
It's a modern day, exactly. It's sexual exploitation, and cyber sex is definitely sexual exploitation, in this case of children, because those are our clients. So that's one form of slavery, what we call modern slavery. And when it comes to cyber sex trafficking, it's just getting worse. And in fact, IGM is conducting a study right now, primarily focused on the Philippines, but also will involve Canada and other countries to know really how bad is it. And we will have that study available hopefully by the end of August. Then we really know, things are not getting any better. We see more and more cases coming to the Philippines from the U.S. I mentioned this to you yesterday. The case referrals that we get from the U.S. alone, it's about 2,600 a month. So children have been exploited in the Philippines by U.S.
Okay, hear this. That 2,000 more is only in one country. And for us as a Filipino, and I know people are, my friends and community there in the Philippines, it exists there. Don't be naive. This is where I get so emotional that we can't be ignorant or naive when this type of issues comes up. Like it's children we're talking about. And it's hard for me, I think, now becoming a parent. Yeah. This is where I said, I don't want to have a conversation. For people who knows me, I've waited so long to be a mother, for so many years. I think almost 14 years. How long we've been married? I don't even know. Let's not count. But 14 years, and people who know is I want this. I want to be a mother. For all those struggles and challenges, no, I want to be a mother. And you became one. It's I'll protect them my whole life. I provide everything that I could possibly be. And then I met Sandra. And she tells me that, regarding the work of IGM, and tells me this exists in the Philippines. And I would say, coming probably in a privileged home, and I thank my parents for that. I felt ignorant. I felt ignorant for not knowing the reality. The reality, it exists there, and more actually happen there.
Yeah.
And we're going to see more videos. Actually, there's 2 videos that we're going to show. Casey's story and Marco's also. And those are reenactments that you're going to see. I'm just going to mention that. Yeah. But it's so compelling. It overwhelms me. It's so, I don't know how you not get affected.
Well, I think I mentioned to you that 2 weeks into the job at IGM, so we were talking about how did I come across IGM, right? And how I got involved. So that was the first thing. Now you know this. So you cannot just, as much as I wanted to ignore it and go back to my normal life, you can't. So I started learning a little bit more about human trafficking. And then I came across a book by Gary Hogan, the founder of IGM, in which it's called The Locust Effect. And I bought the book. I became a donor of International Justice Mission pretty much that same day that I finished the book. And then I saw a posting and then I apply, right? Just because I kind of seen it almost real life. It was enough to move me into action. So I've been a supporter of IGM, and then I joined the team, and 2 weeks into the job, I'm actually, the first case that I dare to see was about this little boy that you're going to be playing that video soon. His name is Marco. It's not his real name. We have to protect our clients, particularly they were very young, so that's very important to mention. That video, when I start seeing it, I start crying, and I stopped the video. I said, I just can't do this anymore. And I was really upset. And my husband comes home and say, you just have to remember how many more children will not go through this because of the work of IGM. Because ultimately we're putting an end, right? So we're fixing the justice system. We're rescuing the children, yes. But by fixing the judicial system, transform that system, then it protects hundreds, thousands of children.
It prevents more incidences. It prevents more situations, and anyone get victimized.
So that's what keeps me going. So and tears is good. I mean, sometimes we just need to cry, and you know that. But then it's okay. What's the action? The action is okay, we're doing something that will prevent other children from going through that. And the children that went through this, not only are we rescuing them, but we're providing counseling for as long as they need, right? So that they know how to deal with the trauma, the severe trauma of what they went through. And that's what is fantastic about IGM. And then it's because you're poor, we also provide the lawyers so that now their voice will be heard, right? They're no longer without a voice. You know, they're people. Doesn't matter that you're poor, you were a person, just like anybody else. And we go to court to provide the lawyers for free, right? You know, they can't afford it, you know. So that's what our supporters fund. And then we just review what happened, what didn't happen here. So the next time, the case goes much better, and the judicial system is working fairly.
And that's what I like about it. It's like it's preventative.
Yeah.
The work is all preventative, and it's not just like there's no stopgap or this is like just really a band-aid. Like just like we'll do the action, but what are we learning? What are we doing so we can prevent that? That's what I love about it.
And that's the beauty of it, because when International Justice Mission started in the Philippines, our work was around commercial sex trafficking, right?
And how young? Like I know you mentioned this to me, and I was just like really, overwhelming. Like how, like the children or the teenagers.
Well, on the commercial sex trafficking, and this is we started about 17 years ago in the Philippines. So on commercial sex trafficking, the ages of the children that we rescue were about 16 years old, give it and take, right? And these are what I mean by commercial sex trafficking is children who are being sold in brothels, in bars, the bikini bars, and other things like that.
And that's in the Philippines, by the way.
That's in the Philippines. So we would go and rescue, and then again provide counseling that they need, provide a lawyer. And our goal initially when we started was to see a decrease of minors in the commercial sex industry by 20%. But then we had an external study that showed that actually we reduced it in some places by 86%, like in Pampanga, and then we saw it in Manila and Cebu, over 75% reduction. So the chances of you finding a minor now are much lower. Why? Because we start putting criminals in jail, right? And it's sending a message: if you're caught selling a child, you will go to jail for a very long time, and so
or not come out at all.
Yeah,
not come out at all. But you mentioned there was a point that you mentioned also that at some point there becomes younger and younger.
So that's where cyber sex trafficking becomes.
So that,
Yes. So when we start in the Philippines, that's where we're working with the local authorities, right, to rescue people, to restore them into, to a some sort of normal life and coping mechanisms. We restrain the criminals, and then we repair the judicial system. So now it's working as it is to restrain those criminals. But while we were doing that work, we're starting to get referrals and requests from the local authorities to on cyber sex trafficking issues. So that is live streaming of children. Live streaming of children in which someone can tell a child somewhere from Canada, U.S., UK, Australia, and so on, can tell has someone in the Philippines facilitating that. The criminal in the Philippines is profiting from this because they're the ones selling the children online, and then there's the criminals in Western countries primarily accessing these children, right? And they're paying for these children. So what we noticed in cyber sex trafficking when we started working more on this, and officially we're about 2015, 2016 when we actually officially took this case on, cyber sex as a full-time job. We started to rescue a lot of children, and we noticed something interesting. The children are younger. So the average age, so your audience knows, and this is factual, the average age is 12 years old. The youngest child that we rescue is a 2-month baby.
We'll stop there because I need to breathe. And before we go, there's actually Casey's story. We're talking about Casey earlier also, that I really need you to watch this. I really need you to stay, and in the middle of it, share this episode right now. Because it's not about just you listening, it's about you getting the consciousness and awareness. We're not asking for you to change the world at this time. You know, the best way you can do that, share this episode, talk about it, and be aware. So let's get into the actual video.
We can talk?
Yes.
It's really hard. It's like I was thinking I want to die because of this pain, but I can't. When first time my recruiter telling me that Manila is very nice, he said, so I can wear a nice clothes, and then he taking care of me. He told me that he can help me to reach all my dreams. First time in Manila, it was very happy because there's a lot of building. You wear nice clothes, you have your own money, you can stay in a nice house. So Manila is very nice compared to my place. We are 6 victims inside of the house of my recruiter. My recruiter hurt me every day when I do something bad that he don't like, because he want every day, I need to follow him. But if I don't follow him, he's going to hurt me, just spank me, slap me in the face in front of the people. I really want to kill him. I really want to die that time, but I can't. It feels very lonely for me because I was very far from my family and I can't tell them what happened to me because I was very scared. When they rescued us, it made me heal all the pain. It is in my second home I realized everything, that you don't need to lose hope. If I see or if I hear or there is a victim of human trafficking like us, I just want her to comfort her, help her to move forward and just fight for your rights. Because that's the start where I stand now.
Ayaw ko yung kanya.
Hi! Kamis talaga sa atin. Huwag mo nang tiisin, i-card mo na.
Yung food, yung kulitan, tawanan. Iba talaga eh.
I-card mo na.
Mahal umuwi, no?
Itong card ang gamitin mo.
Sa TFC Online Gift Card, $20 lang, you can watch all the Kapamilya programs for 3 months. Para ka na ring umuwi sa Pinas.
Hey! TFC ba yan? TFC Online Gift Card? E-card mo na yan.
Almira.
Patrick.
Hi! Sino Patrick?
Ang magsugal.
May sasabihin ako sa'yo. Sekreto to, ha?
Totoo?
Sabi ko, chubby, hindi chubby.
Eto tayo!
Take a chance on this romance. You've got to take a chance on this romance. You've got to take a chance on this romance.
one of the videos, and I know you saw Casey's story and the work of IGM, it says like, I love what I read is like, we promise to find you and give hope and freedom you deserve.
Yes.
In all of this, the main mission is to give hope. There's still life after trauma. Being a victim, that you can rise above from there. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it truly is a lot, like lots of love and like really, like you need to get into your gut that you really want to do this work and you want to share and have the campaign. And some of the in the videos also, like, why would you get victimized and why you're in that situation? And it's like, until they know they can't get away with it, like they don't know that they can't get away with it. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to call. And that's the sad part, I think. Like, raising our children, like for those parents, it's like, we have a code word. If anything happens, you can come to me. Some of the children, they can even go to their parents because the parents are the ones who's doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's about, I believe 70% of the rescues that we do involves parents, family members, or people close to the children. And that's what makes it more horrific. And having friends in the Filipino community and knowing how committed the Filipino community is to their children, family values. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's from the Philippines about this. She goes, oh my goodness, no, how can parents do that? But that's the reality of these children, right? I try, on a personal level, I try not to judge because, but it's very difficult.
You can't help not judge.
You cannot help but not judge, but on a way that they live in extreme poverties, whatever the case. It's really sad.
No, I'm judgmental.
Yeah,
I'm going to be judgmental of that. I can't.
I think we all are. I mean, I'm a parent. You were a parent. We talk about this all the time. But it's really, I'm trying to also. I don't know what it's like to live in their situation. Yeah. My first instinct, reaction, and values, like, no way would I do this to my children, right? But it's a reality, and it's a reality in the Philippines, and it's a reality that it's great to be aware of, because then if you see something, if you're, children are going through this, that there's an organization like IGM that can go and rescue them from the situations and provide them counseling that they need, along with local partners that we have. This is not work that we do it alone. We need local partnerships.
It's almost like raising a child. You need a whole village. Like really saving a child, you need a whole village.
That's right.
With Casey's story, this just came to me. Like fear cast over the victims. Like they're so fearful that they don't know where to go. They don't know kind of like what to do. Like she was saying that she's in Manila, everything is kind of like provided for her, and this happened, and she can't even say anything because she's so fearful. Like she's been like almost like frozen to like doesn't know what to do, and that happens, especially for children. What do they know from a very young age? Like even for adults, like we make mistakes and we stumble, and it's kind of like we sometimes give up. I don't know what to do. What more? Like for as young us, like we're gonna play Marcus right now, actually 7 years old. Yeah, and I would say now the action right now for you, share this episode, go to IGM right now, and the main point is to like shut down cyber sex trafficking now. I like that actually. Yeah, like it's now. Can we play Marcus right now? Actually, thank you.
My name is Margot. I am 7. Superman has the best job ever. He gets to fight crime. want to be like Superman and protect my sister from the bad guys. She's my best friend. Mom says if I work hard enough, someday my dream will come true. I tell Gabby she is safe when I put my cape on her. Nothing can hurt her then. I tell her to think of birds. They are free and can fly away. I wonder if one day I can grow wings like a bird and fly. Maybe as fast as Superman. Maybe one day me and Gabby can raise him. If I ever meet Superman, I would want to ask him one question. Did he ever have to hurt the ones he loved the most? They tell me that I will make a good sidekick and that Superman will want me to fight crime with him. Because they say even Superman needs a little help sometimes.
In the background, like when we're actually watching Marco's video, like I can't even talk anymore. I'm on my rack in a few seconds anyhow. So the main question is like, why is this happening? What can I do? Or this is just me? Like, so, you know, all those kind of questions comes up. And it feels like, especially when I saw the scene that where they're living, and all this reenactment, that's kind of like the actual environment, right? It feels like you don't want anyone to be poor because the poor get victimized. The disadvantaged become disadvantaged more. And, you know, he said that he wants to be Superman so he can protect his sister.
Yes. Yeah.
You said this is your first case also. Like, I'll take it out to you. Like, no, I can't even talk anymore.
It was my first case that I sort of had the guts to see. And I mentioned it didn't go so well initially. But the message we always came back to is hope, right? Yeah. We saw the reduction. We know of, when it was in a commercial sex trade, sex trafficking, we saw the reduction of minors available for sex. So we know the model works. We continue to apply this model in cyber sex trafficking. We'll see the end of this, or a severe reduction of this. So that's what we have to remember. But the Philippines, it's a huge market for this kind of thing, more than any other country.
You told me why. Because one,
You speak English.
Yeah.
So Westerners like Canada, US, UK, Australia, Netherlands, Scandinavian countries, and Germany are looking for children in these countries because it can be done in English. The Interpol was saying that's because also it's a poor country, right? Internet, so they did not exist before the internet, right? But now internet is widely available in the Philippines. Over 60% of the population, from what I understand, have access to the internet. And it could be just a mobile, a computer. It could be, it's very simple to set it up. And then the other thing that will resonate with your audience, I think, at least certainly resonate with me is, and I mentioned actually yesterday, when we're talking, that one of my friends who's from the Philippines, she's here, and a lot of the money that she gets, she wires it to the Philippines to help her family. Well, so the Philippines, because of there's a lot of Filipinos outside the country, they're working, wiring money to help the family. So there's a good infrastructure to receive money established in the Philippines. So that makes it also very easy for predators and pedophiles from Western countries to wire the money, and makes it easy also for the offenders, the people actually, the Filipinos selling these children to receive the money and agree on transactions.
That's what we saw in the video, like the manigram, like, everyone is familiar about that, like this is an evidence that she's receiving. And you mentioned in this case that the mother was actually shown, I know it's a reenactment, and I bet you that's what happened also, was handcuffed, because it was actually the parents, the mother. So they were possibly recruited by someone from a different country, from the Philippines, recruited those parents, and then provided those equipment, and here's what you're going to do. And here's even like the worst thing that I could think of is like while all those happening, and then saying that go get your sister. Probably the mother is saying like, here. I can't even in my head, like when my even for my husband I'm telling this story, it's like, no, stop, I can't.
Yeah.
Like in his head, he's picturing our own daughters being victimized or sexualized or being videotaped for someone who's old and adult and like have all these resources, like doing this. I can't even. It feels unreal. It feels unreal.
Yeah, I can't talk to my mom or my dad about this. They love children, and my parents were someone who always wanted to be parents. So I can't talk about this aspect of the work, which is really difficult, but it's important to be aware. And then it's important to be aware and then know what to do next, right?
That's important, the education piece, the awareness. Like now you hear it, you can't not just talk about this. You can't not just like share this. But here's the thing, it's like, so what can I do? What can we do? What can we ask them?
Yeah, and there's a couple of things which I will, but just to put it in perspective for your audience who's here in Canada. Canada alone, since between 2011 and 2016, has seen a 350% increase in the demand of online child sexual material. So it's huge, and this is annually, right? The amount that we have seen, so it's growing. In the U.S., there's about 2,600 a month referrals in the Philippines, to the Philippines. So that's U.S. saying, listen, that's so much we've seen of children being exploited in the Philippines. So it's huge, and with our study coming, this year coming out, we will know, we'll get a good sense of, really how much worse it probably is. But there is hope, like I mentioned. You know, IGM exists, we see a reduction, we know the model works. And then there's hope also because people can't make a difference, right? The stuff that we do, it's because of supporters that we have. They care about the issues, Canadians here and all over the world care, they fund our work. So, but there's what your audience can do. There's a not on my screen sticker that they can buy online, in which you can put on your phone. I wish I had brought a sample here. And we put it, and that sometimes can actually lead to conversations. So, and oh, what is that? Curiosity, which your program talks about, right? Curiosity, asking questions.
Yes.
So it can lead to that. You also can sign the pledge online when you do that, saying you are going to help put an end to cyber sex trafficking, you know, a pledge against this horrible modern slavery. You also can write to your level of government and say,
this is important.
Yeah,
because this builds the structure.
Yeah.
This builds also and do a lot of like prevention.
Yes.
Okay, tell
So
us more.
you can write to your MPs, your future MPs, and say, this is happening. Canada is part of the problem because Canada is consuming children in my country, in the Philippines, and I want this to stop. What are you doing about it? And you know, and encourage them our government, the Canadian government, to fund you know, local authorities or in committees and places that help end human trafficking, particularly globally. And also what we're hoping to also have would be great to have an RCMP person present in the Philippines.
This is critical.
Yeah,
like,
this would be really critical.
Yeah.
UK, Australia, US as similar representatives in the Philippines. Canada doesn't have one yet. In fact, I mentioned Sam Inocencio was here from the Philippines, our director in the Philippines that oversees this work of cyber sex trafficking. He's a lawyer and he oversees all this work, and he came here in Canada to advocate for that, so that we have a representative RCMP. We also, other things that people can do, you know, they can become freedom partners. It's $31 a month, helps rescue people, restore people, and you know, on all that wonderful stuff that we mentioned that we know will help us really decrease the amount of children available, you know, for trafficking. And you know, so those are a few things that Canadians can do, like right now, right?
I know it because it's a nonprofit. I know, like, you probably, a lot of you, probably most of you then, supporting a lot of like nonprofit or causes. Just think about that you continue doing that. We're not asking that whether you replace that, or this could be an additional. And, you know, doing this work, you're saying that there's a scarce of resources also. If that becomes not available, resources are not available, like funding organization, the social workers work, or any of those, there will be more children or women, or that not gonna end. There's not gonna be a reduction. That the work is very important. It's almost like really like if you want to really create hope. Hope is not just for me. It's not just like you're wishing and then hoping. Hope is creating an action. Hope is creating like an awareness and education. Let's talk about it. Hope is having a conversation.
Yeah.
That this conversation, it doesn't end here. For me, I'm telling you now, this has been a lifetime of part of being my mission now, and part of the legacy that I also want to impart for my children. That, you know, living a privileged life doesn't mean that you continue living a privileged life without doing anything.
Yeah.
Same thing to you, whoever's listening. You know, being aware now and continue to be aware doesn't stop us to live a life that we're living right now. That's not what we're asking, right? What we're asking is continue to have that gift to other people, and stop the cyber sex trafficking, stop slavery.
I mean, I mentioned it would be so great if we could have an RCMP officer in the Philippines. And why do I say it's so great? Because then the communication between the two countries would happen much more naturally, and we would be able to put more people in jail. In 2017 in Saskatchewan, someone was sentenced, a young man was sentenced for exploiting children online, and we rescued 3 children in that case. And involve a woman in the Philippines that was facilitating that, and 1 woman in Romania, and the 3 children that we rescued, the ages 3, 9, and 11. And there's RCMP that was involved in this case actually went to the Philippines to also be to provide his testimony in court with regards to this case, and help us. It's still an ongoing case with regards to the Philippines. Here, the Canadians in jail right now as we speak. Philip Chicoint is in jail, and he was given a 12-year sentence, the largest in Saskatchewan for this kind of cases. Prior to that, the largest was about 8 years, give and take. So he, so he is in jail. And then we had the RCMP going there. And in fact, if you go to RCMP website and you type International Justice Mission in the Philippines, if you Google it, I don't know where, but I found this, which was really neat. He talks about his experiences, and I think there was a picture of him in the Philippines with the children, with some children and so on. So, it sounded that to him was also very rewarding that he was able to assist this way. It is a global issue, right?
It is. I think everyone
people to do something.
Do something. Like, not just like stay there. Process it, but it not just can't stay there. And it so happened that we have to end this conversation, this episode today. It's not going to end for me. I bet especially it's not going to end with Sandra. My hope is to give hope to children especially, and to women is actually that can't do anything for their children because of all this situation. There is hope. I just want to get your last message before I go to my own, and our time is up anyways. Your last message.
Well, I think it is a very heavy subject, no doubt about it, right? And when it comes to children, it's very devastating. On the other hand, though, we have seen survivors that we help, that we rescue. Now they're speaking up, and you saw it in Casey's case. She's talking about, when I hear about a human trafficking person, I want to be there for that person. So we have cases, and I've been privileged to hear a young woman from the Philippines who we rescued. That's very passionate now, saying we can put an end to this and turn this negative experience into a positive, be a strong advocate, in the fight against human trafficking. And so there is that kind of hope, right? And then we just always have to remember what I mentioned before, just remember the children that will not go through this because of the work of IGM, because people care enough to support our work, whether spreading the word, they won't go through. But meanwhile, there's thousands and thousands of children waiting for us, and we need to rescue them all. And it is our goal to do that.
I like when you say, we need to rescue them all, and I believe that. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you so much for watching. And here's my challenge to you. 2 things. 1, share this episode to everyone you know. And those 2 crew that I have in here, I'm gonna see your Facebook later, and I'm gonna make sure that you do share it. That's 1. 2, the conversation doesn't end here. You need to start and having conversation now. Let's take advantage of social media. Let's do that. Let's have a conversation in our own family. It's hard, even for me. I could see my husband crying and having tears when we have this conversation. For me, I'm a wreck. But if those survivors have to put their face out there and have the courage to tell their story, what more can we do? Let's have that courage, and I believe that, and I believe it will stop one day, and that's my hope. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Initiate transmission now.
MCDN TV. It all starts with PinoyRadio.com, trailed by Crosswave Radio. Now comes a new kind of entertainment that connects us all. From our motherland, the Philippines, to the land you chose to migrate, the world we knew then and the world we know now. Streaming live 24/7 anywhere on Earth. Para sa'yo to, kabayan. This is MCDN TV, connecting our world.
Almira.
Patrick.
Hi! Sino Patrick?
Ang magsugal.
May sasabihin ako sa'yo. Sekreto to, ha?
Totoo?
Sabi ko, chubby, hindi chubby.
Eto kayo!
Take a chance on this romance. You've got to take a chance on this romance. You've got to take a chance on this romance.
Initiate transmission now.
MCDN TV. It all starts with PinoyRadio.com, trailed by Crosswave Radio. Now comes a new kind of entertainment that connects us all. From our motherland, the Philippines, to the land you chose to migrate, the world we knew then and the world we know now. Streaming live 24/7 anywhere on Earth. Para sa'yo to, kabayan. This is MCDN TV, connecting our world.